This is the Digital Marketing Experts Podcast episode. No, why am I trying to sound like a radio announcer? Hey everyone, Dan here, driving in my car. Welcome to a special episode of Experts in the Wire. No, the whole thing will not be from my car. A goal of mine in 2017 is to really focus on execution. I've noticed working with clients in the last few years that the ones that succeed are the ones that execute. Even if you make mistakes, even if you break things along the way, if your intentions are good and you try to actually take action and do things and execute, you will achieve success. Now, the ideas have to be good, no doubt. The content has to be good. Your intention has to be good. But if you don't take action, you're not going to get any results. So this episode is me trying to take a little more action in 2017 to help people do better SEO. To get myself to actually do it and hit publish, I spontaneously called up our employee, Anthony, who helps with the Experts on the Wire podcast, to sit down with me on Skype and record through this episode of Experts on the Wire, where I'm going to teach you about 12 keyword research tools and very clever, what I've been told are clever ways to use them. Sorry, I almost got in an accident pulling into the bank there. This is a very different episode. We're going to talk through clever ways to use these keyword research tools to help you come up with content ideas, outside of the box topics, collect better data, and get better SEO results with these tools. So here we go. Hey.
What's up?
How are you?
Good.
You want to be on the podcast?
Yeah, sure.
I'm recording.
All right, cool.
Do you remember the guest post that I wrote for the Next Web that was supposed to get published?
Which one?
I don't think I ever sent it. Yeah, I don't think I ever sent it to you.
Yeah, I'm sure I blocked it out.
Yeah. Well, anyways, as it stands now, this is 6 months later or something. They haven't published it, obviously, because I would have told you about it. So instead, I wanted to, that's why I just emailed you, wanted to see if you wanted to be on the podcast. For everyone listening, this is Anthony Penzabene. He's our number one employee at Evolving SEO and my secret assistant secret brains rather, behind Experts in the Wire podcast. This is a spontaneous recording of an episode because Anthony, I just started recording what I thought was going to be a great episode talking through these 12 keyword research tools and ways to use them. Instead of, because the Next Web, I mean, forget them. They didn't publish it. So I'm going to use the content myself. It was incredibly boring though, because it was just me like talking to myself, but I thought it'd be fun to
talk. You just got nexted.
Yeah. That's that clever term. Clever term. We did not prep that.
I was waiting to put that in there. All right.
So I thought it would be way more sort of fun and entertaining to share with you these 12 tools and a clever way to use each one. And if you had questions, we could talk these through, but it might be a little more entertaining. And I think it has been already for the people listening to not just hear me blabbing on and on and on for an hour, but to have a little discussion here. So are you ready to go through these 12 tools?
Absolutely.
Cool. So you're not looking at them in front of you. I'm just going to talk you through them. And I've organized these into 4 categories.
Okay.
And as you know, I like to kind of categorize the keyword research we do. And the first category is these tools will help come up with topics and long tail ideas. So oftentimes it's tough to come up with sort of tangent ideas off of a topic or long tail keywords. So that's the first group. The second group is kind of off the path keyword research tools. These are tools that you commonly don't hear the SEO world talking about a whole lot, or at least not in the way that I'm going to bring them up. The third group is data-driven keyword tools. So as you know, there's tools that are great for data, but they're not great for like discovery of new keywords, but they are really good at giving, if it's search volume or keyword difficulty or maybe a ranking position. So there's some tools with that. And then the fourth category is what I like to call advanced power keyword tools. These are kind of these tools that do a lot of stuff really well. The data, the research, the discovery, the off the path stuff. So are you ready? Those are the 4 categories. Okay, let's do it. The first one you might remember, and some of the listeners might remember from a post that I did on advanced web ranking, I think 3 or 4 years ago now, where I talked about using Google Keyword Planner in conjunction with Wikipedia pages. Do you remember that post?
I think so.
Yeah, it was like, I gave it like a Upworthy title at the time. It was like, Google Keyword Planner didn't want you to use it this way, but it works nicely or something. That was the title. Right. It was a little tongue-in-cheek clickbaity for the Upworthy stuff that was going on at that time. But so this is taking Google Keyword Planner, and you probably do some of this when we're doing research for clients, but you're going to take the Wikipedia page for that topic. So for example, if you are researching something in cloud computing right now, we don't know really much about cloud computing or security or stuff like that, right? So if we had a client in that space, we would use this technique to kind of get our heads quickly around that topic. So what you would do is you would find the Wikipedia page for this new complicated advanced topic that maybe you don't know a lot about, plug that into the landing pages report in Google Keyword Planner. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I have a screenshot. I'm going to post the actual post on evolvingseo.com/keyword tools with no spaces so people can see the screenshots. But what I did is I took the cloud storage Wikipedia page, I plugged it into the AdWords Keyword Planner, I filtered it by low cost keywords because I want informational stuff, not the commercial stuff. And I got terms like music storage and cloud storage for Android. And that's just above the fold of the results that I saw. So right away, we're taking, and it took 30 seconds to get this. We found the cloud storage page on Wiki. We put that in the Keyword Planner as a landing page. And then I filtered it by low cost keywords. And right away, we got music storage and cloud storage for Android in addition to a bunch of other stuff. And that's great because now our brains are kind of thinking beyond just cloud storage to kind of tangent related topics. And you can do this for a lot of Wikipedia pages in conjunction with the Keyword Planner. You follow me so far, Anthony?
Yeah.
So have we done much of that? Have I shown you much of that? The filtering of by the low cost stuff?
No, not really. I don't remember doing much of that.
Yeah, on the left-hand side in AdWords Keyword Planner, and a lot of people complain, by the way, of like, oh, we can't get a lot of keywords from the AdWords Keyword Planner. Well, maybe you're not using it to its fullest capacity. Yeah, and if you want to bring it up and look while we're chatting, on the left-hand side, there's keyword filters. And if you filter your results by stuff that is low cost, low CPC, that means that the terms that now the Keyword Planner has to dig up, they've got to dig deeper for the terms. They're going to be more informational related, meaning that the lower the cost, they're probably not transactional keywords. They're probably informational article, blog post type keywords that you could write a piece of content around, or it's a topic versus a purchase intent. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's sort of the technique or the tactic for the AdWords Keyword Planner. Number 2, SEO Book. Remember SEO Book? They were popular like a long time ago. Aaron Wall.
Yeah, for sure.
He's still got some great tools, though, on SEObook.com. And one of them is the Keyword Density Analyzer. Have you played around with this tool much?
No, but I remember him talking about, what is it? Latent syntax.
Right. Yeah.
Analysis.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Exactly. And he's got some kind of fancy tools like that on SEObook.com. But the one I like, and again, for example number 2, tool number 2, we're going to take Wikipedia pages, but analyze them for keyword density. And so again, for the example, I took the cloud computing. And by the way, if people are listening to this, you can find this tool on SEO Book by going to tools.seobook.com/general/keyword-density. I know that's a mouthful. I didn't plan on obviously, Anthony, I didn't plan out how I was going to communicate where these tools are to people. But if you go to evolvingseo.com/keyword tools, you will have the list of all of the links of these 12 tools I'm talking about. So anyways,
keyword density. So give me an example. So say that we're talking about diving watches on a certain piece of content. So why would this tool be useful to me, say, in that scenario?
That's a great question. So you would try to find the closest related Wikipedia page to diving watches, and maybe this is just watches, or maybe it's the topic of diving.
Yes,
scuba diving, and you would plug it into the keyword density analyzer, and then what this would do is it would pull out the most common 1 word, 2 word, 3 word, 4 word, 5 word, etc. phrases. So, for example, I didn't do the diving watches one, but I have the cloud computing one, and this pulls out terms like object storage, area network, cloud storage gateway. The list goes on and on. And for somebody that, if I don't know about diving watches and I need to do keyword research and kind of understand this quickly, and again, that's the whole name of the game in these first 2 examples is speed. We're trying to get to all of the related topics quickly in a subject that we don't know anything about. Yeah. That's what this would help us with. And then, this is sort of a little advanced trick. This tool that Aaron created, Aaron Wall from SEO Book, it has a little tab there called links. And if you click on that, this is really cool, actually. It's a buried little function. If you click on that, it gives you the keyword density of hyperlinks on the Wikipedia page. And as we all know, Wikipedia uses extensive links because they're linking from one wiki page to another, from one topic to another. So now we get the keyword density of the pages most linked to from that Wikipedia page. And this is almost even more useful because now we're getting an understanding of, okay, this is the cloud computing page on Wikipedia, but here's all of the most common topics it links out to. So for example, they link out to most commonly attack surface, storage cloud, Microsoft Azure, private cloud, security issues, cloud database, cyber intrusion, object storage, hosting service, and then for 3-word phrases, file hosting service, attack surface area. Isn't that cool?
Taxes, yeah, absolutely. Anything about taxes and business and
I didn't mean those actual topics. That's a really cool function of that too.
Can you cut and paste a body of text? For instance, if I wanted to comb forums or some sort of discussion platforms where maybe I want to pick up on what's important or what's concerning potential consumers, or maybe get down with the lingo to come up with topics that way.
Absolutely, yeah. You don't have to enter a landing page URL. You can cut and paste text. So maybe there's like 10 forum pages that you want to cut and paste all the text from that, plug them into this tool, get the keyword density. That's a great alternative usage of that. Really good question. Awesome. Let's go on to number 3, Google Autosuggest. A lot of people know about Google Autosuggest, but I want to talk about a couple quick ways to use it that some people might not realize. So of course, this is if you go to Google search, you start typing, and Google suggests the longer tail, the most commonly searched longer tail phrases. By the way, Anthony, have you noticed lately that Google is really tying this into trends? So around the election, for example, if you were to type D, it would probably suggest Donald Trump to you first. Right. Unfortunately, maybe I should use a nicer example like H for Hillary. But they're tying it into their Google Trends kind of database and backend. So Google Autosuggest is now very influenced by the most trending and current searches. Have you noticed that lately as well?
No, I mean, I haven't really thought about it explicitly, but that makes a lot of sense. Sure. I probably implicitly thought about it and just didn't put the two together.
Yeah, they've been doing a ton of that. So anyways, what I want to tell the listeners first is that if you go to your Google search settings, so you're at google.com, you click on the gear icon, you first actually want to go to your Google Instant Prediction settings and select Never Show Instant Results. That's because they're now going to give you 10 search suggestions in google.com versus just the 4 or 5. So you're actually going to see more auto-suggest terms if you set that setting to never show instant results. And then the most common way people do it, let's say we're talking about looking for maybe Sony products, for long tail for Sony products, people would just start typing Sony and then let whatever the words are after that pop up. But, and some people still don't know this, if you type the word Sony and then won't, and then put your cursor in between those, now we're going to get suggestions of what the word is in between Sony and won't. And the reason I'm doing this is if you are like an affiliate or somebody has like a tech website, or maybe you just own a Sony camera and you're blogging about it, you might want to talk about the problems that someone's experiencing with the Sony camera. So you might want to find the long tail suggestions of the problems people have that their Sony camera won't do.
Sure.
So if you do Sony and then space won't, my suggestions in the screenshot show stuff like Sony Vaio won't, Sony laptop won't, Sony Xperia won't, and so on and so forth. So it's a great way to dig up kind of these little hidden long tail keywords. And then you can dig even further. The second example I have is if you do in the search bar, Apple won't, and then put the cursor in between that, but then you start typing the letters of the alphabet. So Apple B won't. And then I get Apple Bluetooth keyboard won't. Apple Bluetooth mouse won't. And then I have Apple butter won't thicken. Obviously a different type of apple. Applebee's 1 ton tacos. I have no idea what that is. Maybe it's something Applebee's serves, but obviously there's going to be some junk in there. But yeah.
Verse too could be a good inspiration for further content, product or a certain company versus another competitor or a similar product.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're running, like I said, like a tech website or an Apple website, it's a great way. And this could even apply, by the way, for listeners to YouTube videos. A lot of people in the tech space are creating YouTube unboxing or tutorial videos, and YouTube's the second biggest search engine. So even though we don't have a lot of great search volume around YouTube searches, you can still assume that if people are Googling something like that in Google, it's probably being searched in YouTube. So this might be a great way to come up with YouTube keyword ideas as well. And, as I mentioned in the post here, of course, you can go to Ubersuggest or like keywordtool.io for the longer tail suggestions. But this is a great manual visual way. Yeah.
Are you going to talk about Answer the Public?
That's down below. Yep.
All right.
Yeah. Great minds, right? So now we're into part 2. These are off the path keyword tools. So what I'm talking about here is tools that are like not as commonly used or thought of as being all that helpful for keyword research, but I've got a couple, again, what I hope are clever ways to use a few of these tools. So the first one's Google Correlate. Have you played around with this much?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. You go to Google Correlate and it's still like the old design of Google. Like they didn't even update the logo or like nothing. It's not fancy at all, which makes me nervous, Anthony, because I don't want them to take this tool away. I love Google Correlate, and it makes me nervous that it's the old design still, because I'm wondering if they're going to take it away from us. What do you think?
Just because of the neglect of the design? Yeah, I think it'll stick around for a little while, hopefully.
I hope you're right. So just to set up the tool and to explain it a little, this tool, and by the way, Anthony, you're being a great sport, because I literally had this spontaneous idea where I wanted to bring you on the show. You were probably doing something super important. Now you have to sit here and just listen to me for an hour. So you're a very good sport for that. You're humoring me and the listeners. And but
yeah, let's go to the beach, check the waves, you walk around, get some fresh air.
Yeah, don't worry, you'll be off the hook soon. So just to set up Google Correlate for the people that don't know what this tool is or how it works, essentially it matches search trends. So whether something has trended up for the years 2015 through 16, or there's seasonal spikes and dips. If you type, let's say, the example I like to use a lot is winter gloves, right? Because this is super seasonal. If you go to Google Correlate, type in winter gloves, you're going to see things like winter hat, Christmas tree, Thanksgiving. You're going to see these seasonal trends that peak and dip similar to the patterns of winter gloves. So this is kind of a cool tool because I call it off the path because you don't know what you're going to get from Google Correlate. You could discover this really amazing magical keyword that's going to change your life in there, or you could not find anything. It's a little bit hit or miss, but that's one thing I love about it is that
what correlates with winter gloves?
What correlates with it? What do you mean?
So if you put in winter gloves, what else? What other topics are you coming up with?
Yeah, so off the top of my head, it would probably show things like winter hat or skiing, or you're going to see these things that correlate by the time frame, not by topic. So that's why it's really interesting. So one example, and I'm thinking from memory here, is I went and I typed in winter gloves, and then I backed the time series up like 2 weeks, and people were searching for how to throw away a Christmas tree. So you can see these patterns in behavior in real, excuse me, Anthony, in real life. And actually, the reason that they developed this tool is they were seeing that they were able to predict flu trends by looking at the correlations in searches over time.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's yep.
Maybe this would be a good way to look for affiliates, perhaps. That
Yes.
outside the box.
You are right on the money with that. That is actually, I think, let me look at my post here. That is, yeah, so content, but affiliates. So one example that I've talked about a little bit is I've randomly gone to Google Correlate. They have this really cool draw feature where if you go to it and you can draw your time frame. So one trick, this is for all my domainers out there or people looking for new website ideas or business ideas or even content ideas. You go to the draw tool and you just kind of randomly draw a line like that trends up quickly. So maybe I'll start at 0 in 2016 at the end of 2016 and draw a sharp spike up. This means that it's going to show me topics that have just exploded in the last 3-6 months. And I found a few topics using this trick. One was pallet benches or pallet furniture. Remember this? I think we were looking at this together at one point.
Talking about this on the plane.
Yeah.
Back, the podcast convention.
That's right. Yeah. We're working 24/7, right? We're working on the plane.
Marketing never sleeps.
That's right. Marketing does not sleep. And I also found terms like there's this new type of women's top called lace-up top. No, it's not something kinky or anything like that. It's just a top that has like strings that you tie it with, apparently. Not that I'm up on women's fashion, but basically this term exploded as well in the last 6 to 12 months. I guess it's a new type of, fashion women's top. And it has like 20,000 searches a month. But the last time I checked, no one had bought the .com. No one had bought laceuptop.com. And so, yeah, you're exactly right. This is really useful trick for affiliates or people looking for maybe new website opportunities. The quick example in the screenshot at evolvingseo.com/keyword tools is going to be, I put in winter coat. I shifted the time series back 1 month. So now I could say, okay, show me something with a similar pattern to winter coat, but shift it back a month. And what the tool showed me was college football team names, apple peeler, deer stand, New Jersey football, plants for winter. So if I'm selling a seasonal product or if I'm publishing seasonal content, this might make me think about what I could publish a month before the trend upwards in winter coat sales. Does that make sense?
Put it more into a context for me.
Sure. So we have an e-commerce site, hypothetically.
Yeah.
We'll pretend for a moment. We have an e-commerce site. We sell winter coats. We sell winter gloves. We sell mittens. We sell, snow pants, all that kind of stuff. We have a blog on that, right? And we want to publish helpful content that attracts our potential target visitors. So what do people that buy winter coats, what are they searching for online the month prior to when they most are likely to buy winter coats? So let's say people buy winter coats in November.
Correct.
Now this tells us the things that tend to spike upwards in trend in October.
Gotcha.
So people apparently search for apple peelers, deer stand, fried apple, NFL rankings, hunting season, baby winter, tree stand. And this is just at the top of the results here in Google Correlate. Now that could get us thinking around possible blog topics that we could write about in October. That if we can find an overlap with our product or service, now we can post some things in October that will attract the right people and get them into the funnel for November.
Yeah, I mean, even I forget the gentleman lately. I was looking at a post, but he was talking about the value of something maybe that's just viral and it doesn't have to have anything to do with your content library resources, and it doesn't have to gain links. You could always maybe just have a clever idea that gets your brand out there and makes people aware of you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, content does not have to be for links. It does not have to be for SEO or search traffic. It could be for social media and or virality, like you said. That's a great point. All right, let's move on to number 5. We're 23 minutes in. We're doing pretty good time-wise. I think we'll make it within the hour. And then you'll be off the hook, like I said. So number 5 is Answer the Public, the one you asked about. I think this is one of the most commonly mentioned tools on all of the Experts in the Wire podcasts. Like half of the guests have mentioned Answer the Public. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's just...
I think it's just kind of new. It's kind of quirky. It has that guy in the front. Yeah. And of course it's useful. The layout's kind of modern.
Yeah, it's funny how just putting a weird image of like a random bald dude on your homepage.
It's memorable, right?
Yeah. Isn't that weird how it taps into like our psychology? Because even when I think of Answer the Public, I can feel there's a brain neuron in my head where when I think of Answer the Public, I see their homepage with the bald guy. Isn't that kind of interesting how it's solidified that kind of like brain connection?
Sure.
Yeah, it really speaks to branding and having good imagery to match with your tool.
Yeah, it's unique.
And what does the bald guy have to do with keyword research or Answer the Public? Like, it's not on surface value. There's not.
He's kind of just there. He's looking sort of inquisitive, like he's hungry for your questions.
Or he's hungry to help. Yeah, he's kind of like an old librarian or something.
Yeah, or a professor.
Yeah, totally. Like he has the knowledge that we want. So anyways, Answer the Public. So I'm sure a lot of the listeners have checked out this tool, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But basically, one of the huge value adds here is it groups the long tail suggestions into a nice visual format. So you can see all of the long tails that have how, where, who, what, why, when, and so forth, grouped into this cool looking kind of visual graph. And so it's not giving you stuff that you can't get from Ubersuggest or keywordtool.io or even Google Autosuggest, but it's giving it to you in a nice presentation, in a nice visual way.
That'd be good for an FAQ page for sure.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's a really good application. That's why I called you, because you're bringing.
Thank you. Yeah. I knew fulfill a purpose eventually. It's 26 and 10 seconds in. Yeah. Well, and for the listeners, again, by the way, Anthony writes a lot of the questions for the show that I ask the normal guests. So you've brought value in the background to all 51 of the episodes so far. So certainly. Thanks. But the next one, number 6, Bing. Oh, by the way, to your point, FAQ pages. If you are creating FAQ around a topic, Answer the Public is a great one because now it's going to give you all the questions you need to answer. And we've done this for other clients too, by the way. Remember the water client? Yeah.
We did this for them. They created that FAQ page. Okay, number 6, Bing. Yes, Bing. I know, like a lot of people are like, what's Bing? What's Yahoo? But yeah, Bing, Webmaster Keyword Tool. Or rather, Webmaster Tools. By the way, I think everyone should just set up Bing Webmaster Tools. It can't hurt to have it set up. A lot of people always focus on Google Search Console, but Bing Webmaster Tools has some good stuff in there, including their keyword research tool. And what's actually cool about it is Bing. So Google keeps taking away keyword data from us, right? They take away search volume. Of course, we can't get keyword data in Google Analytics anymore. Bing gives you the exact number of searches a month, literally the exact number of searches a month for the keyword. So you could also even think about maybe using Bing keyword tools for, if Bing is 20% of searches across the web, let's hypothesize, maybe you could get Bing search volume and multiply that by the missing 80%. And now you've got Google search volume, hypothetically, right?
Right.
You could kind of surmise maybe a little bit. So if Google's not giving us the data, maybe we get sort of a rough relative range from Bing. But anyways, if you go to I was going to say Google Bing Webmaster Tools to find the tool, which is kind of ironic. I'll put the link at evolvingseo.com/keyword tools. But if you go in there, you get it set up. The example I've got in the screenshot is I go in there, I plug in the term CRM software. Not only does Bing tell me that there were exactly 2,936 searches in a month for CRM software, But there's some decent suggestions in here. Free CRM software, customer relationship management, Zoho, Zoho.com, CRM software for small business. That's just the very top of the screenshot that I took. So you might get some other suggestions that Google AdWords Keyword Planner is not giving you. You have the freedom to adjust the date range when you're searching for this. And like I said, you're getting the exact search volume for that time period. So
what are there any devices that are their default search engine is Bing? Like any phones these days?
Yeah, now you're putting me on the spot here a little bit, but I think Safari, somebody went to Bing or Yahoo being the default search. Some big company, and everyone thought it was going to, help cut down Google's a massive share of search volume. I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah. I think there are maybe some devices that default to Bing or Yahoo.
My mind was going more towards maybe it would be more useful for some verticals versus others, or some personas versus others.
That's really true. So if your target demographic is a big iPhone user and iPhone Safari defaults to Bing or Yahoo, then you might consider that being a little bit of an idea of your target demographic. That what you're saying there?
Yes.
Yeah. Really good point. It's a great way to think about that. And of course, you can go to analytics and look at the demographics and slice it and dice it any way you want as far as the age, the gender, but also their affinity, interest, and couple that with the devices they use, the browsers they use, mobile, tablet, desktop, etc. So you might be able to combine some of that knowledge with what we're talking about here and do some research for Bing. Good point. All right, ready for part 3? Let's do it. Part 3 is what I'm calling data-driven keyword tools. So these are tools where we're not discovering new keywords so much as getting some nice data around keywords. So the first one here, and our tool number 7 for the post, is Google Search Analytics. Like half of the clients that come to us, do you know they haven't set up their Google Search Analytics to track internal site search?
I believe it.
And I jumped ahead in my mind here. I jumped to number 8. Let's do number 8. What I meant to say was Google Analytics internal site search. Yeah, they haven't set it up. So like if you have internal search on your website, this is how you can tell what people are searching on your own website. And I'm sure, Anthony, you could surmise some potential uses for this. But for example, I went to a client that we had access to in their account, and their internal searches showed words like loft, kitchen, office, small, bathroom, living room, garden, kitchen, beach. This was a client that was in the sort of interior design, home decor space.
Yeah.
But these are terms people are landing on their homepage and searching these terms because probably they can't find a link or they can't find it in the menu. There's no obvious way to get to it internally. So this can oftentimes reveal two sort of opportunities. One is, what I just mentioned, is maybe your navigation is not clearly showing users how to find what they want to find. So in this site, they land on it, they want to find Scandinavian as one of the search terms here. Maybe they want to find Scandinavian home decor, but there's no menu. There's no obvious places for maybe styles or whatnot. So this might inform the items that you put into your navigation, your footer links, your menu links, but also maybe they don't even have a page about Scandinavian home decor.
Yeah.
Maybe they should just create that content. So this can oftentimes give you ideas for content creation of stuff people are looking for and they can't find on your site. So everyone's got to go to your analytics and make sure it's very easy to do. You go to your admin, you go to the site settings, and you just set up internal site search for Google Analytics. And this, of course, is only if you have internal site search, but there's some great data you can get from there. Now, let's jump back to number 7, technically number 7. What I meant to introduce was Google Search Analytics. This, of course, is found within Google Webmaster Tools, now known as Google Search Console. What do you think, Anthony? Tons of search data in here, tons of keyword data in here. It's crazy.
I lost you for a second there, but yeah, I was saying, never mind.
You lost me on Skype?
Yeah, the Skype went out for a second there.
No problem. We're back to number 7, which was what I meant to introduce before, which is Google Search Analytics. This is found within Google Search Console. It's free, of course. What I find this really useful is getting content ideas based off of your existing content. Because if you post a blog post, over time, you're going to collect a whole bunch of search terms that this blog post is maybe ranking for and getting traffic for. So oftentimes, if you post something that is maybe a super broad topic, maybe there's other subtopics or other sub-articles you could create around that. And so Search Analytics, as I'm sure a lot of people know, is going to give you all of those keywords that this particular article or a particular piece of content ranks for. It even gets impressions for. So that's the thing too. People got to realize that you should dig into maybe the keywords that you're getting impressions for, but they're not ranking very well, because maybe that's where it could be broken out into a separate topic, a separate piece of content. And so I know people are familiar with this tool. I'm not going to talk through it a whole ton, but Cyrus Shepard from Moz, formerly from Moz, has an article called His Single Best SEO Tip, which talks a ton about ways to leverage Google Search Console Search Analytics. And I'll link to it on the page itself /keyword tools on evolvingseo.com. And I definitely recommend you check out Cyrus's post. But one quick example I want to show from our site, Anthony, evolvingseo.com, is I went to the results for do you remember the comparison I did of Yoast SEO versus All-in-One SEO?
Yeah, that's one of the more popular pages on the site.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the most popular page of all time. Incidentally, do you know how that piece of content came about?
No.
This was about 3 years ago, and Gary Vee was on his big kick of you should listen to people in Twitter and answer their questions. So I have been going to Twitter and searching for stuff like Yoast or SEO tools or plugins to see what people were talking about. A quick trick, by the way, when you do this in Twitter is if you're trying to find questions you can answer that people are asking in Twitter, is do your search and then just type a question mark, and it will show you all the questions people are asking. So I found a random person who was asking about the difference between Yoast SEO and All-in-One SEO. And actually, it was her, but there were a handful of people that were asking in Twitter which one was better, Yoast SEO or All-in-One SEO. And I realized that I could answer the question, but there was no really great piece of content in Google. And this is why people were turning to Twitter to ask. And so I did no keyword research for this, but then I posted the content. I did a full in-depth comparison. It's still on the site now. It's been updated, comparing Yoast SEO and the All-in-One SEO plugin. And it was our most top trafficked piece of content ever on evolvingseo.com. If I had just tried to do keyword research, that might have gone under the radar, because it's the type of content that has a ton of long tail stuff. Think of all the ways you could type it. You could do Yoast versus All-in-One, Yoast SEO versus All-in-One, All-in-One versus Yoast SEO, Yoast SEO plugin versus All-in-One, and so on and so forth. So this piece of content has a ton of long tail. But back to our article in the example here, in Search Console, what I saw, and this was August 2016, people were starting to type Yoast All-in-One SEO 2016 in Google. They were typing that in Google because my post had gotten so outdated and no one else had done a great job of an updated one. People were trying to find, okay, what's the most current, relevant, new piece of content? So other people might see this opportunity in Search Console, and it speaks to the importance of updating your content. And as I think you know, Anthony, I just went back a few weeks ago and updated this post for the Yoast versus All-in-One to this 2017 version, because I actually got a few comments on it. People were leaving comments saying, hey, do you know that this feature does not exist anymore in Yoast? Or do you know All-in-One does this now? So even people were trying to tell me, hey, you got to update this thing because it's getting outdated.
Right.
So let's move on to number 9. We already did number 8, which is internal site search. Number 9, you use the Moz toolbar overlay, right?
Yep.
And how do you, is there a particular thing you like about this tool? Do you like seeing the domain authorities of things ranking in Google when you're doing the searches?
I guess, sure. I'd like to use it just as another signal, and then maybe that'll inspire me to think of other things. Like if this is ranking so highly, but it doesn't look so great, but it has a lot of links, then it makes me curious as to why. So then I might start taking a look at the backlinks and stuff like that. So yeah, sure. I like the overlay.
Yeah, I love it. And I know we've used it together when we kind of do these brainstorming sessions looking for content gap opportunities.
Yep.
And I just thought of something I want to tell you off of the air, something kind of cool. So remind me afterwards. Sorry, listeners, you'll know, for anybody listening, there's something kind of cool coming up that you'll hear about. I'm not sure when, maybe within the next 6 months or so. It does involve a prior guest on the show. But that's all I can say for right now. But I'll tell you off air, Anthony. But yeah, this is number 9, the Moz Toolbar SERP overlay. For people listening, walking your dogs, running, or whatever, you can go again to /keyword tools on evolvingseo.com to find all the links to these tools. If you have if you can't write them down where you are, or search them right now. This is free, but you can get some data for free, but you're going to probably need Moz Pro for $99 a month to get everything out of it, but you can still get some stuff for free. So the way this works for people that don't know is when you're using Google, the Moz toolbar will overlay the domain authority, the page authority, the number of linking root domains, and so forth for each result in Google. So this is super useful because if you're trying to, this is why this is in the data section. If you're trying to say, hey, could I rank for, my example here is healthy energy drinks. It's really great to see it right in Google what the authority of everything is ranking here. So when I go to Google, I do healthy energy drinks. The domain authority in order of the site's ranking is 84, 61, 67, 87. Unless I'm on a powerful site, I'm probably going to stay away from that, right? Because that's some pretty competitive domain authorities there. 84, 61, 67, 87. Unless that stuff does not really target the topic very well. Then I might be able to sneak in there because I can do a better job at the topic. But if you are trying to assess, should I write about this thing? Could I rank for this keyword or this key phrase? The Moz toolbar overlay is great for that because you can do kind of this quick check to see the competitiveness from a link authority from within Google. One thing I meant to do, Anthony, was actually mention which of these tools were free or paid or not. So I'm going to quickly recap those. So the Keyword Planner is free, of course. The SEO Book Keyword Density tool is free. Google Auto Suggest, of course, is free. Google Correlate is free. Answer the Public is free. Bing Webmaster Tools is free. Search Analytics is free. Internal Site Search and Analytics is free. And the Moz Toolbar is somewhat free. So I think that's why I thought of it right now. So every tool we've talked about so far is free. It's pretty cool, right? And of course, you can pay the $99 a month. Anthony's laughing at me. You can pay the $99 a month. I know I get a little overly excited about things, but you can pay the $99 a month for the Moz Toolbar SERP overlay to get all the full data from that. How are we doing on time, Anthony? Pretty good. 42 minutes. We've got 3 tools left.
Okay.
I'm starting to already...
What's going to happen if we go over? Nothing.
Nothing happens.
Nothing terrible.
Yeah. I try to keep the shows around an hour.
Right.
Do you think that's a good length? I mean, should I worry about that? Tim Ferriss has done podcast episodes that are literally 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, I think there's really no answer to that. I think you feel what's right, and you'll have to assess what the fans think. If the fans like the hour segments,
yeah,
and they're getting good insight from the guests.
Do we have fans? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we have a lot of fans.
Yeah, we look at those Libsyn stats constantly.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really go to the same places anymore.
It's funny because Jason Fried, who, by the way, I emailed to be a guest on this show, and he said to contact him back this month. And I do hope he says yes to come on the show. He's been one of my sort of people I've looked up to the most in the tech business marketing world for a very long time. But anyways, he's got this interesting point, which is that people schedule hour meetings just because that's how the calendar works. Like, there's no reason a meeting has to be an hour versus 48 minutes or 30 minutes versus 25 minutes. It's just because that's the default in the calendar. So I think it's super interesting because that's how this podcast ended up being an hour, because I scheduled an hour in the calendar for the interview guests.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm sure you could probably go longer, but I guess you have to maybe consider some kind of cap. If Tim Ferriss thinks over an hour is good, then that works for him.
Yeah, I think he really sort of wanted to test what was becoming the kind of default assumption, was that your podcast needed to be an hour. Like if you do like this interview style kind of podcast, you know, so he wanted to kind of break things a little bit in the podcast world.
I mean, even at a conference, how many speakers do you see in a row? Like at MozCon, for instance, how many people, like there's at most was what, three back to back?
Yeah, I think typically, you'll have a block of stuff going on for 2 to 3 hours tops, and then people tend to want to take a break.
Yeah.
Podcasting, I think, is interesting, though. It's different because I could be running. I could be walking my dog. I could be cleaning my house and listening to a podcast. I feel like when you're at a conference, you're kind of physically stuck sitting there, and it's natural to get antsy and restless, I think. So people want to get up and move around.
Gotcha. Someone like myself enjoys the flow. So I would really like to, if I was into the podcast, I would, I'd be disappointed to have to break for after work or, sporadically during car rides. You know, I would kind of enjoy it all at once, preferably. Yeah.
And I like to think of that in relation to music, right? Like if you're jamming out with somebody, right, improvising, if it's going really well, why would you want to stop that, right? Why would you want to put a time limit? Oh, we got to end the song because we said it'd be 10 minutes long.
Sure. And people who enjoy reading, I'm sure they can relate to, you know, you like don't want to go to sleep or leave the cafe or stop reading. You want to keep getting to the end sometimes.
Yeah, it's very fascinating because I feel as if there's some rare exceptions of podcasts like Tim Ferriss's that could go 3.5 hours and people will listen to every minute of that and be engaged with it. There's some other podcasts I've listened to, Anthony. If I tried to go even 10 minutes, I'm already bored out of my mind. No offense, but that's the reality of it, right? It's hard to put on an engaging and entertaining podcast, I think.
I think it's hard to get the chance first, and I think it's hard to keep people too. But even right to get the chance, because it's so easy to lose people to whatever else is going on.
Yeah, and not everyone's Tim Ferriss, right?
I mean, and even going in, like, to be honest, I don't know much about Tim Ferriss, but I know just of him because of his acclaim, and I guess maybe that would be enough for me to be interested in him. That's almost like his advantage from the get-go as far as people who don't know much about him.
Absolutely. Yeah. When you go into something with some notoriety and people are fans of you, there's something already about that person that's engaging.
Sure.
That's entertaining, that keeps people enthralled in that. And yeah, if you're sort of starting from scratch from being known or being somebody that people want to pay attention to, you've got to work for that. You've got to earn people's attention and their trust. And so, I mean, it's a great point. Okay, let's get back to number 10 here. Authority Labs now provided. Yeah, ironically, right? I just cut off our discussion about how you should just have a discussion, keep going. But it's also because I promised my wife that I would go home to meet a contractor who's working on our steps. Totally exciting, right?
Well, don't break promises. That's important.
Yeah.
Especially to wives.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the number one person to keep promises to. So number 10, Authority Labs now provided. So some of the listeners might use or know about Authority Labs. It's my favorite rank tracker, as you know. We even tried to make the switch to another tool. I don't want to blast any other tools, but I did play with another rank tracking tool for a few months. I eventually went back to Authority Labs because I like their interface. I like that it's daily tracking of every keyword you enter. You don't have to think about, oh, am I going to get this weekly or monthly? It's everything. You pay for it, you get every keyword daily, and that's what it does, and it does it really well. They have this cool feature, which I know you've checked out, Anthony, called Now Provided. And this was, a bunch of tools attempted to try to bring back keywords once Google was taking them away out of analytics. And this does not replace the not provided dilemma that we have in analytics, but it's a cool way to discover and get data all at the same time around some keyword opportunities. So basically, if you set up Authority Labs, you can connect your analytics account to the rank tracking for that domain. And then you're going to go to the Now Provided report. And what this does is for every page that's ranking and getting traffic, it's going to show you additional keywords you may not have thought of, along with its current ranking, its search volume, its CPC, competition, traffic percentage from SEMrush, traffic cost potentially from SEMrush, and the number of search results in Google and the search trends from this. So this tool is basically amalgamating their rank tracking, the SEMrush, and your personal Google Analytics data all into one thing. And it's super cool because now if you publish a piece of content and it's ranking well, it's a little similar to the Search Console stuff, but now you can see additional keywords that you might be able to target. And let me pull up my example here. So we did a piece of content for a client a little while ago around modular synthesizers. And I actually found out that they're ranking for a bunch of other stuff that I didn't plan on, and it's all in here. So we did a tribute to modular synthesizers, an article for a client, but now I see it's ranking for also like Eurorack Modular Synth, which is a brand, and all these other kind of long tail stuff. So this might give us ideas of how to update that content. Maybe I need to write more about the brand in that content, or maybe that could be a new piece of content as well. So really cool little report. Again, it's all linked to at /keyword tools on evolvingseo.com. Number 11. You ready for number 11? We're into part 4 now.
We're getting deep into it now.
I can see you waiting in anticipation. I actually think you were staring at the nice sunny weather outside, so you will be off the hook in just a few moments. It is nice out today.
Yeah, it's pretty nice out, right?
Part 4, advanced or power keyword tools. These are tools that kind of, I think of them as, they're power tools, right? They do a lot of heavy lifting. They're built on a solid back. They're not just these surface level tools like Answer the Public that is great, but it just scrapes Google search suggest, right? These are built on solid databases, on a big strong back-end infrastructure, right? So the tools are the Moz Keyword Explorer and SEMrush, and I want to talk about each one a little bit. Moz Keyword Explorer, this tool hasn't even about a year. It's newly developed by Rand and the folks at Moz. It immediately became one of my favorite keyword research tools once they published it. I actually sat with Rand for an hour in Florida last year. If you remember, I told you about that at the conference. And I gave him some ideas for the tool while it was in development. And on the podcast that I interviewed him on, he talked about they used some of those ideas and made the tool better. But I told him honestly at the time, I didn't think that the tool, I was skeptical about the Moz Keyword Explorer. But once they launched this thing, it was top notch. It's amazing. So basically, you go to moz.com/explorer. This is like a super advanced version of the first thing we talked about, which is putting Wikipedia pages in the AdWords keyword tool. I entered the term team building into the Moz Keyword Explorer, and I filtered by show me broadly related topics and synonyms. I didn't want to see anything that was literally team building. This tool is amazing. It returns results like personal development, interpersonal skills, leadership development, career development, goal setting, presentation skills, soft skills. The amazingness here is that if I'm not in the team building industry or knowledgeable about that topic, it would take me hours potentially to figure out what are these related topics having to do with team building. But the Moz Keyword Explorer gives you this in 2 seconds, because now I see, and it makes sense, right? Goal setting, that's related topically to team building. Presentation skills is related topically to team building. So this is great for like blog content. So maybe you know that your company has to do with the topic of team building. Here's your content calendar, right? Here's like 6 or 7 perfect topics that you could write about. And the Keyword Explorer also gives you the relevancy and an averaged search volume. I don't know all the technicalities behind this, but I know they're pretty proud of this. They use like clickstream analysis and so forth. They think that they are giving you a more accurate idea of search volume for this keyword, more accurate than the Google Keyword Planner. So I highly recommend, if you haven't played around with the Moz Keyword Explorer, to check it out. Anthony, I'm thinking of this now. You and I got to play around with this a little bit more too for some of the client stuff we're doing. I think this could really bring some very interesting ideas.
What do you think some unique things about the Moz tool is versus SEMrush?
No other tool does this. So it's like a black and white thing, right? Like all the other tools, they give their related keyword suggestions based upon the phrase kind of existing in there, right? So if I were to plug team building into SEMrush, which I'm going to talk about next, SEMrush is still going to give me stuff like team building examples, team building tips, how to team build. It's going to still play off that phrase, and I'm just going to kind of mentally be going around in circles, right? Moz springboards us to the next topic that has no word relationship. Like the word personal development is not the same as the words team building, but it's topically related. And that's where the magic is here with the keyword, with Moz's keyword tool, because no other tool does this and does it this well. I kind of hacked it when I talked about plugging the Wikipedia page or into AdWords Keyword Planner or the Keyword Density tool. So I was kind of trying to, can everyone hear my pipes banging?
Yeah, they're building the railroad.
Yeah. That's why I use a gate effect on the production of this podcast. It cuts out the background noise. Hopefully. It's so annoying. The last 5 minutes of the episode too. But that's why this tool is so amazing, because no other tool does it. It's going to jump us from one topic to the next related topic. It's so loud.
Punk rock, though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's giving us a real edge here at the end of the show.
We'll get the podcast done despite all the adversity.
I know, we got to power through, right? So, right. But no, I mean, I just recommend people go sit down. But the thing, when you go to the Moz Keyword Tool, you have to set your settings to based on broadly related topics and synonyms, because this is where it's going to get you the stuff that does not include the synonyms or the keywords you've already typed in. It's going to get you the outside of the box stuff. And I absolutely love that about the tool. All right, we're doing pretty good. 3 minutes left if we want to do an hour exactly. SEMrush, tool number 12. I saved what I think, even though as much as I love the Moz tool, if I wanted to choose one powerhouse tool for keyword research, it would be SEMrush. You were
stranded on an island.
Yes.
You can only bring one SEO tool with you. What would it be?
It would be SEMrush.
It would be SEMrush. I have a lot of respect for Moz as well, and a lot of companies in the industry. But yeah, SEMrush as like a content dude, idea dude is what it. And after that, like, take my hat off to you, because you showed me a lot with tool, and that's probably why I like it as well.
Yeah, here's the thing. Moz, as much as I love it, I could eventually replicate it on my own by hacking stuff together or by putting in the 5 hours, right? Moz is still cutting down on time to some degree, whereas SEMrush, it is cutting down on time. It is making things faster, but I'm literally doing things I could not do with any other tool. And I'll explain one example that I really love. And I'm glad you asked me that, Anthony, because I think, when people are choosing the keyword research tools, think about, what is this tool doing for me? Is it simply just making something a little bit quicker that I could do anyways on my own? Or is it literally getting me to do something I could never even do without the tool? So it's like bringing in like a new possibility that never existed without the tool. And I think that's what SEMrush does here. So I believe they've just raised their price to $99 a month. It was $69 a month, but I think it's $99. You want to go to the link. I'm also going to create a direct link to SEMrush for you. It's going to be at evolvingseo.com/SEMrush with no spaces. So if you're listening, you want to just type that link. Disclaimer, it will be an affiliate link, so I'll make a few bucks off of it. Probably not a lot. I'll probably be able to buy you a coffee the next time I see you, Anthony. But it's a quick link, so you can access it that way. Of course, you can just go to semrush.com too if you're cruel and you don't want to give me a few bucks to buy Anthony a coffee. But anyways, the report that I love in this tool is the Pages report. It's a little hidden, but it's actually how I came up with the topic of this post. And so I'm going to talk everyone through it because it's the most involved out of everything we talked about. So, Anthony, here's the challenge that we have and what this tool is going to provide. We're trying to come up with a topic to write about. That's the challenge. That's the end result we want, is what are we going to write about? What I've done in the past with SEMrush is figured out what have the biggest sites in this industry or this space written about, but have neglected. And so the example here is I wanted to know what to write about SEO. When I was pitching The Next Web, who never published this article, I wanted to know what's a topic I could write about on their high 90 domain authority website that I could probably rank for. And so I plugged in searchengineland.com into SEMrush. What I wanted to see, what SEMrush gives in the Pages report, is all of their top ranked and trafficked content from search. So I type in searchengineland.com into SEMrush. I see that Search Engine Land has a ton of articles that are ranking for thousands of keywords. And then from this report, what you can do is you can dig through it to find what are the articles that Search Engine Land ranks for, but it doesn't deserve to. And it doesn't deserve to because maybe their article is old, it's outdated, it's bad, it's incomplete. All of these gaps that we look for in content opportunity, but now I'm able to do this at scale very quickly with SEMrush. And the reason why I can't replicate this is because of all of the data behind this that SEMrush is using to make this report happen. So I typed in searchengineland.com into SEMrush. I saw an article that they were ranking for a lot of keywords that I think was just titled something like free keyword research tools. Yet it was 3 free keyword research tools. That's it. That's all it was, 3 tools. This post is 12. And they mentioned tools in this post one of them is called Keyword Eye. I don't even know if that tool exists or works anymore. Yet in 2016, this is still ranking. This article was from like 2012. So it could really use an update. So I found all this because of using the Pages report in SEMrush. What you want to do is when you find the piece of content, you're going to click on the keywords, you're going to see some columns and there'll be the screenshot, but you're going to click on the keywords link. This is going to take you to a page that shows you all of the keywords that this piece of content is ranking for. Now I have my keyword targets. And one of them was keyword research tools, 880 searches a month. And that's what I'm hoping this article ranks for on evolvingseo.com. And now we have a topic to write about. And the thing I want to emphasize here is the reason why this is opportunistic is because this is not just random. We're not just saying, oh, this sounds like a cool topic. We're strategically saying, SEMrush has showed us that this article ranks for a ton of stuff on page 1, but it doesn't deserve to. It doesn't deserve to because it's old and outdated and it's incomplete. And so for anyone trying to come up with a strategic approach to coming up with content that you can probably rank for, plug a competitor or a site that's very high authority, similar to yours, into SEMrush, run the Pages report. You can even filter by maybe the keyword you're looking for. An example I used the other day is I plugged motherjones.com into SEMrush, and I ran a filter for paleo. Now I'm seeing all the paleo diet related content that ranks for motherjones.com. And now I'm digging in using the filters, right? So you might want to use the filters in the pages report for SEMrush. But for people creating content, you want to have a strategic reason why you're writing the content that you are, and a reason why you think it could rank and get search traffic. So again, evolvingseo.com/keyword tools, no spaces. You can see the screenshots and the step-by-step for how to do this as well. But Anthony, we've used this for clients to help get them tons of blog traffic and discover keyword ideas. In fact, you've discovered one for a client a couple months ago. It was a 3-word phrase. It was about 1,000 searches per month. They've gotten like 3,000 visits already from this one piece of content.
Yeah, if you're patient and diligent, you can find a lot of good gems through there.
Yeah, it's great. The pages report for SEMrush. So, Anthony, thanks for hopping on this Skype here at the last minute.
Yeah, of course. It's my pleasure. It's my job.
Well, you're a good sport for doing it. I know I sprung it on you last minute there, but
yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate it. That's cool. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So thanks everyone for tuning into the spontaneous episode of Experts on the Wire. It might be 52. I might just publish this right away because that's how I get excited and just want to hit publish. So awesome. Now I got to eat something. So I'm going to hit stop here, but Anthony, hang on the line a minute and we'll see everyone next time on the next episode of Experts on the Wire.